All right. Hello, everyone. We are live on Facebook. I'm joined today by Master Mike Allen. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Yes, very good.
Thanks again for joining me. I appreciate it. You said it was a lovely day over where you are.
Yeah, a little wet, but other than that, it's nice.
um, so how are things going right now? How things? I know I talked to you, and you're doing a lot of Zoom classes lately.
Yes, unfortunately, we're in and out of tiers. Unfortunately, where we get put to tier 2, 3, 4, and each tier as you go higher, unfortunately, means you can do less. Currently, we're in tier 2, which allows us still have organised sport classes. Going to tier 3, nothing, and tier 4 obviously can't do anything. So we're hoping we're going to stop in tier 2, but things are getting a bit. What should we say? The rate of cases is rising all the while, so they're trying to do something with it. So next announcement is, I think, Boxing Day or the day after. So we'll see what happens, but we'll work with it. You know, if we have to go back to Zoom, we do, and you know it's hard, but we manage.
you know, Thinking about it before this year, the idea of doing karate classes remotely, I don't think it crossed many of our minds. But right now it's just what we've done. What have you learned as an instructor through having to teach over a video?
Many things, many things. You change the way you teach to a certain extent because you can't achieve what you want to achieve. You've always got sort of in a class when you can be beside somebody, you can sort of show them which leg it is, which arm it is, and they, all right, you always get the mirrored person who always does it opposite. Yeah, fine, that's just something you deal with. But now you can't do that because we have the mirror situation even on Zoom because some people have their screens mirrored. So you're saying, no, do it on the left hand, and you get a blank stare as to left, which, So teaching's very different. Teaching's probably the hardest thing I think would be Hyungs. Hyungs are, I really feel for that. My grandson actually has done it. He learned Saegyung Sambu on Zoom. Mm-hmm. And it's different at times because we've had instances of people with a very small room, they've not, and you think, I could tell you one instance. There was a little girl at class, and she was doing basic form 1, fine, really good effort, good blocks, everything, punches, kicks were great, except for the third kick in the form, she kicked to the side. So we had 2 front kicks and 1 kick over there. And then we said, that should be a front kick as well. She said, yeah, I've got a table there. Okay, right. So nothing you can do about that. So basically, but unfortunately, because when you come back to a live class, they still bring that trait. They still come 2 front kicks and 1 to the side. It's hard for them to go backwards and forwards, but it's been, I think, a lifeline, really, in a way. I mean, and I know it's been a lifeline to a lot of people, and I know here we've got some people who haven't taken up Zoom classes for different reasons. I mean, you'd be surprised at the number of people who can't go onto Zoom because they've got a company laptop, for argument. The company doesn't want them on Zoom, so they're stuck. They can't teach a class very well. They have to find an alternative, a phone or an iPad, something like that. So that's always a problem for us. But I think Zoom has managed, enabled most of us, hopefully, that have done it, to keep our students interested, to keep our students progressing. It's you stagnate if you don't train. We all know that. Yeah. If we're honest, we all know that. Oh, no, I'm all right. Yeah, no, you're not. No, because you forget this, you forget that, you do something wrong. We all do it. It's just natural. It's just human nature. So you've got to keep training, and we keep training the students, but they're not within our control, so we can't actually encourage them as well. I'm sure everybody that's probably been onto Zoom and done a class, you've got sort of, I don't know, 15, 20 screens up on your, I managed to do mine on my TV, which is great. But you go, and you want to talk to the one that's the second one down on the left, but everybody hears. So you make the stupid mistake and you say, oh, just change legs. So now you've got 90 people on the wrong leg and one person on the right leg. And it just goes like that. But that's a learning curve for us. We have to learn from that. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good to learn like that.
And if it's like most of the classes I teach, the person that was wrong didn't switch and everyone else switched.
That happens. Yeah, that happens. But that happens when you're in class. So I think that one's fine. I think we should all cope with that one.
Yeah, right.
I think there's another thing of taking Zoom classes. You actually learn to sometimes correct your diction. You know, you say one thing and sort of in a way you mean something else, and then suddenly you see what you said.
Sure.
And you think, that wasn't what I meant. I didn't mean that. No. So you sort of have to, yeah. So now you get, so I think we learn. And I think whilst it's not been good for us, it hasn't been all bad for us. I think there's still some positives to come out of it. So I mean, we've had a couple of Zoom testings, and actually, to be fair, they've all done very, very well, considering that you know, some of those people haven't actually trained in a dojo for 6 months.
Right.
And they come along and they do the best. So I think, you know, we have to give them a lot of credit. You know, somebody said a little while ago, oh, I wouldn't want to test on Zoom. Oh, no, I won't do that. And you think to yourself, well, no, I wouldn't want to if I had a choice. But what happens if I don't have a choice?
Right.
You know, yeah, I'm going to have to do that. And you're going to have to get to cope with it. But hopefully we won't be here forever, especially not 2021. We're going to hopefully have some change.
So we have some people watching along, saying hello. So we have Lindsay Dudgeon says good afternoon. Game says it's very wet here, and Master Marco says hello to my testing buddy.
Yeah, we tested for 5th Dan together. Yeah, hi Daniel. Hope you're well.
Master Don says hi Sabanim.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, and actually Master Khan is checking in as well. He follows and he says Master Allen's a great credit to Great Britain Tang Soo Do.
Thank you, Sabanim. I appreciate that.
So let's talk about your martial arts history and how you got your start in training. How did you make your way to Tang Soo Do?
Well, I suppose really I was 1993, I think it was September time, when I actually started. Well, I didn't start. My son started, if I'm right. Because some of his friends at school were all going to class, and I suppose like everything else, you know, oh, so-and-so's doing this, so I want to go. So, and if I'm honest about it now, I'm thinking back once we spoke the other day, and I thought, actually, I didn't even know it was there. It was in the local school, and I wasn't really aware of it. So anyway, I took him down, and the instructor said, you can sit and watch if you want. So I did. I didn't think many people sat and watched because there was only 3 chairs. So obviously not too big an audience, but anyway. And yeah, I watched and he got on okay. And I said, did you enjoy it? Yeah, I want to come again next time. So, okay, fine. It was twice a week on a Monday and a Friday. So we turned up again on the Monday, I think it was, the second last, and he did that. And I sat there and the instructor turned me, he said, bit of waste of time just sitting there. You might as well join in. And I thought, well, yeah, okay. Yeah. So the next class I did. I joined in. I took some t-shirt and jogging bottoms, went down there, and I suppose after that I thought, yeah, I'd like to do this. Going back previous to that, really, I was always had an interest in martial arts, but I don't think I ever had a connection between, I really like martial arts and doing martial arts. That the two things they never came together. I used to love martial art films, different things, but I just didn't come together. So thanks to my son, I'm here now, really, and I have him to thank for the fact that I've got as far as I can. On that story, he trained, I think he got to red belt, red tag, and we were training 3 times a week, and he was doing football 3 times a week. So you have this 12 to 12-year-old probably, wearing himself out, basically, trying to do both. And we turned around and said to him, look, you need to choose. You need to make a choice, because you can't do these 2 things 3 times a week, both are. You'll moan at me because I'll choose football. I said, I won't moan at you. I'll moan at you if you don't choose. You know, put your energy in the direction that you want to put it in. You know, don't spread it all over, because, you know, you don't get anything from it. So he chose to go play football, and he went and played for the local Cambridge side in the youth team for a couple of years, and that sort of satisfied that need, shall we say, that want. He didn't come back to martial arts, much to my sadness in a way, but I understand why now. So yeah, that was good. That's how I got started. So from then on, it was just on and on and on and on, really, from one thing to the next thing. I think there's a lot of the time when we get in with a group of people, we tend to look back, but when we're just on our own or going through the things we normally do every day, we don't. We tend to look forward a lot more, because what's coming, what's going to happen. So, and then somebody will say, oh, what about when this happened? And you think, oh yeah, I remember that. So 93 was my start. I tested for my Chodan in 97. I could tell you a little experience, shall we say. Probably a lot of people who went will remember. In 1995, we took part in the European Championships, which was held in Italy, just outside Naples. That was an experience for us, because we'd never been abroad to take a competition. We'd done the ones in Great Britain, but never been abroad. And yeah, the best way to describe it is to say it was different. I mean, it was really totally alien, completely different way of looking at them, different life, different things and everything. But we came home, both of us, with a trophy. So it was a good day. We had a little holiday, and I'm sure we have loads of people that went will actually remember the place. It was, well, without being derogatory about it, there was this great big basketball court, indoor, absolutely massive, surrounded by wasteland. Literally everything around it had been knocked down. There was a road that went down to it, and suddenly it sort of stood out of the middle of the ground, and it was near nothing. It wasn't near any sort of village, town, city, anything. It's just out in nowhere, and we're all sort of bemused by it. And the transport actually on that occasion was provided by the people there. It was a van which had 2 apple boxes on one side and a plank between it in the back, and 2 apple boxes on the other side, and that was the bus to the competition. So it's a long while ago.
That's definitely a story to share, though.
Yeah, it was.
So your son made it to red belt, but then you eventually had another family member join. How did your wife end up joining?
Well, that was something that we always wanted, but she didn't feel at the time that she was supported us. She came everywhere when we did everything. Came with us when we went to competitions, classes, and different things like that. And then she went in, I think it was 95, something in 1995. One of the black belts in the class that I went to decided to open a club locally, just a little way away from where we were. And so she thought that was an opportunity. So she actually went and started as a white belt in that class, and was one of the first members of it, I suppose. And that was not the easy way, but that was a better way for her to start. And then, unfortunately, due to work stresses and things like that, the instructor, he couldn't continue the class, and then somebody else took it over for a little while. And then at the time I think she got to a Chodan Bo, she tested for black belt, and the instructor said, well, I'm now going to give you this class. So she sort of tested for black belt and inherited the class almost on the same day. So, and then she taught that for a few years and trained in the same place as I did. So that's really how she came into it. So we're a couple of years apart in training, length of training. But other than that, still close and we still train together. I she teaches on a Monday. I teach on a Tuesday, so we swap. We help each other the other way around. We both teach on a Friday, so we go separately those days, and it works. And we train on Thursday with Master Khan every time we can. Excellent. Something I think we all enjoy.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Most people that start teaching the martial arts, it's never really in the plans. Like, it just happens, and more often than not, someone's like, "Okay, you are going to teach this class." Is that how that did it happen similar for you as well?
No, not quite like that. Actually, it wasn't quite. No, it was probably a little bit different. I suppose as a Chodan, I used to enjoy helping, teaching, possibly even before that, although my limited knowledge at that time. But I just felt that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to actually help. I got opportunities to take the class when my instructor was working and wasn't able to come and things like that. So I got that opportunity. We shared that because there was 2 or 3 black belts. But it was something I just wanted to do. So, but I didn't feel as a Chodan that really I had the knowledge and necessarily ability to actually do that. I didn't feel that my depth of knowledge, shall we say, was deep enough to maintain a class. Yeah, so I always was a bit wary of doing it. Anyway, I suppose what happened was 2000 I tested for my second dan, and my goal, if you were, once I tested for it, was to find somewhere that I could teach a class, which a little bit different in England than it is in America. We're all clubs here under the heading of Great Britain Tang Soo Do, if you like. That's a studio, and then we've got loads of clubs that all work into that, and I'll come back to that. But basically what happens is we have to have a distance, so 7 to 10 miles is no different than that between clubs. So I set about trying to find a sports hall or a hall somewhere that I could hire on the right days of the week that I could have a class in, that wasn't too far to travel to, but was far enough away from it. So I've got all these pieces of a jigsaw that for 3 months didn't go together. I just couldn't find anywhere to do. And I managed to find a hall here on the outskirts of Cambridge that I could get on a Friday. So I thought, right, we'll start a class. So I got it all sorted out and started the class. My instructor wasn't actually over the moon about it, but because obviously he'd lost me as far as out of the class is concerned. But we managed to get a few. I think we started off with 4 or 5 people coming and just worked on from there, really. And I learned as much as they did, to be honest, if I'm honest about it. Yeah, I learned a lot more probably than they did. That's how it goes. And that was 2001, I think, in June when we opened the club. So it's 20 years old in June this year. So it's done well. I can't, off the top of my hand, I can't remember exactly, but we've had 35 black belts in that time. We currently got 3 masters and 2 master candidates. So yeah, I'm proud of that. It sort of speaks for itself, I suppose, in a way and they've all been very supportive, and they've all would still train me now if they could, but of course they've got other things to do. So yeah, it's been good for the last 20 years.
That's excellent. Happy early 20 years.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, June, we had a 10-year celebration, so I suppose we should have a 20-year celebration.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sure. We're just hoping now, we'll keep our fingers crossed that there's not just the 2 of us and nobody else is allowed to come. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Master Marco has been working on his 30-year anniversary, so he's in the same boat. Yeah. Who are the 3? You mind mentioning the 3 masters that you were talking about as far as your from the club?
Well, take them in order. One, Master Nigel Crockett. Okay. Master Rachel Crockett, who went to Canada actually just after she got was in Canada actually before she got her masters, and his master Bill Halliday, who's waiting patiently in the wings to receive his master's belt that he should have received at this year's Masters Clinic actually. in the August 2019, but we haven't been able to sort of do that yet. So he has the grade, but he doesn't have the sign that goes with it.
the fancy stripe.
Yeah.
So in those early years, can you tell us some memories of, or maybe the first time you met Grandmaster Shin?
Oh yeah, I probably can. I met Grandmaster Shin. I'm just trying to think. It's probably 96, I would think it was. He came when he was doing a seminar, and my wife was an orange belt, my son was a red belt, still training then, and we managed to have a photograph taken at that. And I can remember that. I've still got the photograph. It's taken on an Instamatic, on a Polaroid camera rather. So we've still got that. So that was probably one of the first times I really actually spoke to him. The times, there are quite a number of times I actually cherish. One is 2003. The Masters Clinic was in Fitzwilliam University in Cambridge. And my wife and I did the security and all the arrangements, and sort of were there, the gophers, fetch this, fetch that, whatever do. And that was an honor to be able to do that. And of course, what happened was that when everybody else was training, Grandmaster would go for a little wander or walk and things like that. And so we got the opportunity to actually go with him, to accompany him. And the gardens at Fitzwilliam were really, really quite well maintained and looked after. And he didn't want us to walk, because we kept sort of like 5 or 6 yards behind, just sort of there if we were needing that. Oh no, he actually wanted to talk to us, and we learned about his garden at home and all the plants and the things he grew and everything. And there was a lot of passion from growing and having this ability to grow everything. And it was really, really, really something that I'll always remember, how keen and how which I don't think the right word really, how positive he was about actually growing things. And then that's what he really enjoyed and had took the time. And I think looking back on it, it probably was a release in some ways, in a way, because to be out almost 24/7, 365 days of the year going somewhere, another country, another state, another place, whatever, giving all that time to us that we really didn't know at that time, but he gave us a lot. To actually be there to sort of realise that, and realise that he didn't just do Tang Soo Do. He had other hobbies, if you want to call them, other interests and things like that. And that was really a really big insight to him. I could tell you another little story, which was quite funny. About it happened about 6 years later. I was 2009 in the clinic in Cambridge again that time, and my wife was honoured with having organised the clinic, so that was great. And I think Master Khan picked him up from Heathrow and brought him back down to Cambridge, and we were there waiting as such. And he came in and he smiled, a great big smile, like that smile, and he held out his hand, and he walked straight by me and said, "Hello, Leslie." And I went, "Yeah, that puts me in my place, doesn't it? Really, it was lovely, actually. It really, really was, because it was just something that, again, brought you a little bit closer to a great man, actually. And yeah, I did Qigong with him on a number of occasions, and it's lots of memories, loads of memories of different things. But that one for 2003 is, I think, the one that really sort of kept with me. Actually, talking to Grandmaster Shin, do you recognise this? Yeah, it is. It's Grandmaster Shin's hat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, it's treasured. This is not. I've brought it in here now, but it's not worn. I keep it safe. I managed to acquire it at an auction, and so that's my little keepsake, I suppose you would say, if you look at it that way. That's my little touch of Grandmaster Shin. But
yeah, it's nice to share these memories, because it's hard to realize that there's a generation of black belts, maybe even third degree black belts, that started training after he passed away, or like right around there, at least high ranking second degrees.
Mhm.
So it's, sharing stories like this is important to continue his legacy, because he touched so many lives and obviously started the association that has given so many people around the world so much.
Definitely, definitely, yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think we're forever in debt, and I don't think we'll ever clear that debt, to be honest. Um, we were really fortunate actually. The year that Grandmaster Shin died, um, obviously he was due to come to the clinic, which was in Wales then at that time, and so of course there was nothing we could do about that. That was just how it was. And although Grandmaster Bowen's no longer with us either, that man actually came to Wales to present fourth dan and master's belts, and he came on the evening and left the next morning from America all the way to England, just for that purpose, just to come and say hello and be there, and that's what people like Grandmaster Shin, Grandmaster Baldwin, and Grandmaster Strong do, because it becomes part of their life. It's a part of you becoming, for want of a better word, an international representative. Yes, you're somebody that everybody wants to see as well. But I never forget that. I got my fourth dan that in 2012, and I never forget that he came all that distance, arrived quite late in the evening, and went left the next day. It's unbelievable, really, that somebody could actually do that. Just sort of a one-day visit to England. So
That happened. I think shortly after he came to our regional championships. I remember hearing that story, and it's just like you said, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Were you there at the funeral for Grandmaster Bedouin?
Yes. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to accompany Master Khan and Master Dawn along with my wife. We went. Yeah, we were.
Yeah. I thought so when I started talking to Master Khan and he mentioned your name. I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw him at the hotel and at the funeral.
Yeah, we went. We were honored to be able to go actually and say goodbye. Yeah, it was a really, really nice service as well. Yeah, and I suppose I sometimes have to take a plus out of something that's a minus. We did get to go to his studio and spend half an hour there, just to sort of, if you like, wallow in the situation and all of the memorabilia and all the things that are there. And I think I know at the moment I think they're trying to raise some money to but I mean, I've got both things. I just hope they can, because that is a legacy that belongs to the World Tang Soo Do Association and the students, his students, the people who trained there with him. And I just hope they get enough money and get it. I really do. What should we say? Anything we could do, I would gladly do if it's something that anybody wanted anything. Do what we can, shall we say? But to make that happen would be great.
Yes, sir. I agree. I'm friends with Master Fairley, and I've supported that project. I did an interview with him last week to help him with that process. Just a couple people saying hi. Master Don says Master Allen and Master Leslie are a great team together of instructors of Great Britain Tang Soo Do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nelly from Ecuador says Tang Soo from Ecuador, big hug. Janet Silk says looking good, Master Allen.
Thanks, Janet. Yeah, actually, a son, Master Martin Silk, actually was one of my other testing partners for fifth dan. So yeah, we're quite close in that way. So yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I was just trying to think what else I could actually work through. Whilst it's not a good situation, I would say, I want to say it actually, because basically it's something where people say, oh, you do martial arts. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I had the situation in 2012, I tested for my 4th Dan Masters. And in 2013, 1st of June, I was presented with Master Belt by Grandmaster Bogan, which was great. I think I was up there somewhere for quite a few days. And we came home. And unfortunately, at the end of June, I discovered that I got cancer. And talk about from the top of the world to the bottom of the world in 30 days, that's probably what it's like. However, I'm okay now, so that's good. What I would say is that my martial arts, however you want to put it, was what got me through that. The want to do something, the ability to be able to do something, the determination, everything really came from that. It was a long operation. It was a 14-hour operation that I went through, and I can remember this as plain as day. The next morning they came in. I was in a single room, and the sister came in, and she said, yes, right, yes, getting you out of bed tomorrow morning, we're going to walk up and down the ward. And I'm thinking, we are? Really? Anyway, so I've got 2 or 3 pipes and God knows what. Anyway, so the next morning, true to her word, at 10 o'clock, she turns up, and we've got the drips on trolleys and everything else, and off we go down the road. She said, you need to walk. And something, somewhere inside, somewhere, I don't know where it was, said, yeah, I'm going to do this. So we walked down, and she said to me, to get out of here, you have to walk to the bottom and walk back again on your own. So, okay. So anyway, I got halfway down it the first day and walked back. And so I thought, well, I don't know. Yeah, I reckon I could do that. And I have to honestly say, the reason why I could walk, because I'd spent something like 20 odd years, or 15 years kicking this, kick, and my legs were strong. So I wasn't in the, it sounds wrong to say normal, but I wasn't at the same level as everybody else. My legs, my muscles were still strong. They hadn't disappeared. They hadn't gone. So I'd walked, and I walked every day up and down that pool. And I think the third day I walked there, and I realised that actually there was signs on the side of the wall that said 20 metres, 40 metres, 60 metres, 100 metres, 120, and the turn and come back. So you had 240 metres to walk down the back. I didn't even realise it was marked until then. But martial arts did that for me. Martial arts got me over that. And when I got back home, it was the need, drive, intent, I don't know what it was, that I needed to get back to class. You know, I needed to get back to teach. I needed to get, that was what, if you want to drove me. Yeah, you have up and down days, yeah. Deep despair and, oh, this is really good. And, oh, you know, that's what happens. But that was something that cut through the middle of it all the while. That was something that I just wanted to get back to do. And I went to class, you know, with my crutches and walking, and you know, like I was told to sit in the corner by somebody very dear to me and not allowed to move. And she took the classes, and that, you know, I'm grateful for that. But just being there and being back in a world that I felt comfortable in made me feel better, and did, to be honest, make my recovery a lot quicker than I think it would have been. I do so seriously imagine that if I hadn't, I would have not probably have been where I am today, I suppose is the way that people say it. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have been. So that's just a personal thing, if you want to put it like that. But yeah, I would say some sort of from 0 to 60 and back down to -10 in 1 month is a little bit there's a little bit of a thing to go. But it's learned me a lot.
Yeah.
You learn about yourself, and I think that's what you have to do. You have to learn about yourself, then it makes you a different person, hopefully a better person. I don't know, but I hope so anyway.
I can't imagine the feeling once you were able to actually get on the floor and train again. It was one of those, it's like I'm home.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. You have to balance that with, can I do this? Can I do this? Should I do this or not? But yeah, it is one of those things that it's a longing, you know, for anybody that's been. And I am aware of a couple of other people that are in similar situations to such a, and they're exactly the same. They want to get back, and I think, you know, that's what's good about it. We want to get back.
Right.
You know, we want to train. We want to do this. We want to, you know, we want to get on and do. And that's really good. I mean, I'm a bit of a disaster when it comes to testings in a way, if I'm honest, because 3 weeks before my Sandown test, I snapped my Achilles tendon.
Yeah, I saw that.
That put that off for 6 months. But then you still work towards it. And I think sometimes, whilst it's wrong in some ways, I think we all need a little hill to climb.
Sure.
Yeah. When it's all flat, we get complacent. Oh yeah, I can do that. I can do it. Yeah. So I think we need a hill to climb. We need to. I said this to somebody. We need a hill to climb. Oh, what? I said, well, you just need to test yourself. Make sure you push yourself. Make sure you keep going. Make sure you're achieving something. So he says, oh, is that what happens in martial arts? And I thought, yeah, every so often you have to test. Whether you're a gut grade or whatever you are, you put yourself out there to test in front of other people, and you push yourself that little bit each time. And that's how people grow. That's how they become better people, by doing that, by having that challenge. People that won't take the challenge, I'm sad for in some ways. Yeah, I don't. It's not that thing. I just wish, you know, sometimes you've probably had a student. I'm sure we've all had. I don't want to test. I don't want to do that. I just want to train. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. No, I don't really want to be a chair number. No, I'll stop at red tag. All those things, you know, just. But sometime or other, you have to turn around and make that step. And we have to make those steps in our own time, admittedly. Although, to be fair, in the World Tang Soo Do Association, that's not your choice. it's when somebody says, oh, yeah, you know, I mean, you've been to a master, you know, I mean, it's slightly different in America, I think, than it is in Great Britain, or in Europe, in Region 11. You go to the Masters Clinic, presumably as a candidate, I believe, in America. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we go to the Masters, we go to a leadership clinic as a third dan here. And you have to be a third dan for a certain period of time. Grandmaster Shinsei had to be 3 years. That's back in 2009. Has to be 3 years. And then the next year you can attend the clinic. But it's the leadership clinic, not the Masters Clinic. Because of numbers, we run the two things together rather than having, you know, that. So basically, some people are at a leadership clinic, others are at a master's clinic. We all work together and we all get on very well. And so basically, you don't know until the dinner time before the evening that you're going to test. So, you know, like I say, it's just not sprung on you. You go along with, well, it might be me this year, or it might be not, might not, and you've been keeping yourself trained and done ready just in case. But it's surprising how it suddenly sort of, it's a bit like a smack round about, what? No, right. Oh, yeah, oh, and you know, you can say no, but personally, I never would. But
right. You don't know if you're going to get asked it again.
Yeah, but so that there's I'm sure there's lots of differences between the countries. I know when we were talking beforehand, we were talking about countries and the differences, and you asked me, I forget what it was. You asked me now something about Great Britain, Tang Soo Do. I can't remember what it was you asked me now.
Well, real quick before we get, while you're thinking of it, Master Khan, you know, put it as good as anyone could say that you're a Tang Soo Do warrior. You know, you're talking about getting up or having challenges, and some of us have more challenges than others, and some people would take that as a well, I guess maybe I should slow down, and you know, I think our training teaches us to not do that. And so you know, that's good. And you were mentioning about it's similar in America as far as for higher ranks. So fifth dan and above is the same thing. You wait to get tapped at meals. My wife just recently tested, and she did it over Zoom and was just like, oh, I won't, you know, she's just like, I only got a week's heads up, and was like, well, usually you get like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. You're lucky you got a week. Yeah. Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, but I think the differences are good. I don't think they're bad. I think, you know, each thing has to evolve around itself. I'll go back to Grandmaster Shin. Grandmaster Shin gave Master Khan lots of advice and ways to work things. Obviously, we weren't a big region. There wasn't that many of us, so everything was done sort of not on a small scale. I don't mean, but you know, it was smaller, so you couldn't do all of those things. I mean, we don't have a Dan camp as such here, as such, but we have a substitute, if you want to call it that, whereby we have master and instructors classes every month, and we have black belt Shadow Mo classes every month, and you have to gain an attendance. Right. Your attendance at those proves your what should we say, interest. It proves your commitment. It proves you know that you want to actually move on to somewhere, and that's what comes out of it. So it's just you put something else in its place. But you know that's how it works. I know what it was you asked me. You asked me why did Great Britain Tang Soo Do seem to be such a big family? That was what you asked me. For me, that's not almost an easy thing to answer, but I can give you probably an analogy of how it is. We have to say one thing: Great Britain Tang Soo Do exists because of one man, Master Khan. Yeah, and all his original initial efforts to create something is what's led to Great Britain Tang Soo Do. However, anybody wants to look for it, they can say, oh, well, my instructor used to teach me. Yeah, but his instructor joined with Master Khan to make something a little bit bigger. So it's still there at the head of that. But I think what happens, the reason why we go there is because we have a studio that has, for want of a better word, an umbrella is probably the best example, for loads and loads of clubs. Exactly the same thing happens in every club. Because like me, I trained in my local town. That's where the class was. That's where I trained. When I got to a certain level, I didn't leave as such. Look, I don't think to leave. I did leave, but I don't think of it as leaving. I think it's creating something else. I moved a certain distance away and opened another club. Somebody else moved a certain distance away and opened another club. All right. Now that is no different to two parents having children who go to live in different towns, who create theirself a family, and then their family creates another family with someone else. And that basically is why Great Britain is so much of a family, because each part of it springs from another part. It grows exponentially because of the efforts of the people in the family, if you like to put it like that. So I mean, I wouldn't be derogatory because I'm a little bit older than Master Khan, so I can't say that he's the grandfather of it, but basically that is very true. Yeah,
he's watching.
That's not a problem. We talk very often, shall we say? And he's true. He knows me very well, but I have a lot of respect for him, and I'm quite happy to turn around and say that in front of everybody. That's not a what should we say? Trying to make up to something. That is God's honest truth. I have a lot of respect. We have lots and lots of chats about loads of different things, and I suppose that's part of my position, if you like, within Great Britain Tang Soo Do. We work as it's a team. It's not an individual, it's a team. We work, and that's another thing why it's a family. People come together when they need to.
You do have a title. What do you're the treasurer?
I'm General Secretary.
General Secretary, okay.
General Secretary, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I write letters to everybody, send people emails, pester them when they haven't done something, you know. So I'm everybody's friend and most people's enemy at times, you know. But that's what I do. I take it sort of on myself, if you like, to try and keep us all in straight order and make sure we're everybody. And it's a two-way street. It makes sure people know things. You know, you can't. I'm a great believer in you can't expect somebody to do something if you haven't explained to them how they do it or that they should do it. You know, it doesn't matter what, you know, go back to Tang Soo Do, go back to the first time that you went into class, and I guarantee you walked in, you went, oh yeah, and you walked, and somebody said, hold on, when you come in, you need to bow. And you go, I do? Yeah, you do. Yeah, oh, okay. And then you learn, and then you know you're supposed to do this, and you know you're supposed to that. If somebody doesn't tell you and educate you with that, you won't know. So I just look to a certain extent as the position is like assisting Master Khan and the association. That's one part of it, but also it's providing information for people so that they know what they do. I mean, it's one of my pet hates, I suppose, if you want to call it that, is that when people are expected to do something but they don't know that they were expected to do it, and then they get called out for it, you know. And that for me is, I suppose, probably it comes back to being fair and unfair. That's just, you know, I do have a thing about fairness and equal things. So basically that's where it all stems from. But I think, you know, for any of us, whether we're up there or down here, whatever, it's about communicating, I suppose. You communicate to somebody knows what you want, somebody knows how you feel, and you affect their life by it, if you like. So we bring me back to a family again, isn't it? Because the father's telling off the son that he didn't really ought to go out and do that. He ought to come here and he ought to do this. It's the same thing. And that's why we have a family. And it is a family. And everybody works for everybody else. You know, we've raised money, we've had auctions, we've done things, we've had events, and everybody supports it. And that's what ties us together. And perhaps, I don't know, I can't say how it is in other countries. I've visited quite a few, and that's something else I'm really, really, really grateful for. In Europe, I haven't been to see Master Marco yet, but you never know, that might happen this year, you never know. But we've been to lots of different countries in Europe. We've got, I hope, would like to say, I don't know, anybody from Greece is actually one. We have a nice relationship with the people in Greece, especially on the island of Samos. We've been there quite a few times for seminars and different things to help and teach, and that's really been an enjoyable learning. We were fortunate 2017.
Real quick, sir. It's funny you said that. I was about to tell you, Marinos says, Merry Christmas, many Christmas greetings from Greece.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, all right. Hi there. I'll say hi to him. Yeah, you have a good Christmas too. But yeah, I do actually treasure the time we've been in Greece. We were lucky in 2017. We managed to go to the Seychelles.
Yes.
Yeah, and without going into lots of history, but I can remember one of the first times when I helped or done something with a mastersmith. The gentleman used to come from Seychelles. I said to him, where do you come from? And he said, I come from the most beautiful island in the world. Yeah, but he didn't tell me where it was. He just told me that's what it was. So I didn't really know. And then we happened to go there. Yeah, and he was right. It really is. Absolutely beautiful place. So I wouldn't have gone there if it hadn't been for this. So the opportunities you get to go places comes from the work you put in, the hard work you do, and the chances that you create. So I'm very, very, very grateful for all of those things. And I'll go again tomorrow if I can. But unfortunately, we can't fly at the moment, so we're not going to go into
that. Master Emerim said hello as well, and I talked to her about going to the Seychelles as well as, and Master Khan, told stories of teaching seminars there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. She was also on the floor at the same time, and I tend to get down. So we got this. So you've got this little group now that have all sort of come together. Yeah, and that's what happens, you know. And I'm going to say this, and I don't want to bring any sadness into this thing, But one of the people that tested wasn't there, isn't here now with us. We lost him, unfortunately, at the beginning of this year. Yeah, and that's a sad. But the thing that I take, if you like, positive as much as I can, his son and his daughter have taken over his legacy. And so that, to me, is a sign of a great man. When your children will step up to the mark that you've made. That was Master Bernati. And yeah, I do miss him. But COVID has a way of leveling the playing field, isn't it?
Sure.
I
never got a chance to meet him, but you know, from hearing stories and from what I can tell, he seemed to live his life to his fullest, and he filled the years that he had, you know, to the brim with as much as he could.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, if they're listening, I'm thinking about you.
So you've mentioned the people that you've had the opportunity to test with through the Masters clinic. What is it about that experience that gives us the bonds that we have, that just you know you can not see these people for years, but you're just like, we tested together, we know, you know, like we shared something special. What is that?
Cool. If you could bottle it, you could make a fortune. All right, I would definitely think that. It's hard to actually say what it is. I don't think it's one thing. I don't think it's as simple as being able to say, oh, it's this or it's that. It's a bond that it develops, all right? Because when anybody that's tested, especially masters tests and things like that, will know that what I'm about to say is very true. At some time in that test, you'll hit a low. Yeah, you might be high for lots of the time, but you'll hit a low. And the people that get you out of that low are the people that stand beside you. That's what gets you back up again. Come on, yep, you can do this, whatever it might be that people say. So we all have a low point at some time when we're doing something. And it's the camaraderie, if you want to put that as a generalization, it's the friendship, it's the tie between people, and that's that tangible thing that you can't see, you can't. It ties you together. There isn't. I don't think there's a word for it, and if there is, well, we'll make one up of if perhaps one day, you know. But we'll have a new word for it. But it's just something that, you know, you pick each other up. Yeah, you push each other along. And at the end of when you've done and you all get through it, and hopefully you've all got through it and you've all passed, there's this happens, you know. And if you've tested with different people, of course, you've got lots of bonds all the way around. And I don't feel it's any different, really. And I'd like to think it's the same for people when they're testing first Dan, second Dan, third Dan. You will test somebody with somebody, you know. And that's how it works out. You know, it's just something that is intangible, but it joins you all together. I don't know. I can't put a word on it. If you come up with one, then go call me and let me know. But that's what it is. It's picking somebody out of a low point, you know. And I think, hey, but it's actually sort of in a way. So, well, for me, it's how I feel. If you like, I care whether that person does or doesn't do what they need to do. So therefore, if part of my energy goes to them to enable them to do it, that's not a negative for me, that's a positive. So, you know, my energy doesn't deplete, it actually increases, because you're helping somebody else to achieve something, and they still have to do it. You're not saying, oh, I'll just do your 3 forms for you and then you can carry on. You know, it's not one of those sort of things. You don't do anything physically for somebody. It's a mental thing where, from encouragement and things like that, that's what really ties people together. And you know, I mean, somebody a long while ago said that you have to train together and sweat together to become which we said, joined, if you want to call it that, to build that relationship. And it's very true. And you know as well as I do, the best time you're going to be sweating is when you're just taking part one of your master's tests.
Yeah, I think that it doesn't even have to be a verbal encouragement. It could just be you look over and you see someone working as hard as they possibly can. It could be a front kick that's a little higher than yours, or a punch that was stronger, and it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
They're trying. I'm gonna push harder. Because I know I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you push harder even though you know you can't, and that's when you win. Yeah, I mean, you win with yourself that time. Somebody else. It's that two-way street. Somebody may need a bit of encouragement sometime, but in that encouragement then gives you encouragement, which then will encourage somebody else, and it spreads between all of you. I think I have had teams say, "Oh, I don't think I could do that. Don't think I could do that test. Oh no, I won't be able to get. Oh no," but they would, because you just have to give yourself to it basically, and once you've done that, and that's what you're going to do, and you set your sight on it, it's a bit tunnel vision. I know I did have tunnel vision to a certain extent in my last test. Definitely, it was like this, but I was somehow still aware of everybody else, and still, so that sort of contradicts in a way what I just said earlier, but perhaps because I'm driving off trying to get, my effort all put in, perhaps that gives something to somebody else.
No, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember when I tested for my red stripe, I look around and I see all these people, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's Master Robinson, there's Master, but
yeah.
But then, like you said, you get in this zone where you get done and it's like, you realize that some people are around you, but you're like, you know what? I didn't even really look over.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. You can feel their energy, but without even knowing, having to look around at them.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to an hour mark, Master Allen. So I want to wrap up.
Yeah, great. No problem.
I want you to. Is there anything that you want to finish with? Any closing remarks or comments for?
I think a very simple one, really. I'd probably like to say, thinking about it now, probably a thank you more than anything, because we never get anywhere on our own. All right, I'm very fortunate. I have somebody I love very much who kicks me often, especially when I'm being a pain in the butt. All right, and I do appreciate that, even though she doesn't think I do. And I'm grateful for the friends and the advice that I've received from my other martial arts people that I've been involved with. I think we have to. You can't. Well, it's an old sort of thing. You can't be an island. Whatever you want, you might want to be, but you can't. At some time or other, you have to involve somebody else. Actually, if you involve lots and lots of people who are all, if you like, providing something for you, you become that better person, which is what we're all striving to be anyway. So I think that's what I would say. Thank you to all those people that have given me some encouragement, some feeling, some pleasure, some achievement. Even those people that we have as students, somebody will. There are people there, and there's a spark, whatever you want to call it, when actually you get somebody to actually be able to do something that they see that they can't do. And that, for me, is probably what I would say thank you. Just to people for being there and being part of my life.
That's great. Well, I thank you again for joining me. It's one of the silver linings of this year, to be able to connect with people all over the world. You going into 2020, doing something like this it was always kind of in the back of my head to talk to people, but to be able to talk to someone like yourself, who I've never had the chance to meet personally, even though we crossed paths in January.
Yeah.
It's been amazing to share the stories of so many. You're actually, I think you're the 38th interview I've done this year. And so I thank you for taking the opportunity to spend the hour with me and, share your stories with everyone that watched. So thank you, sir.
And I should say thank you to you as well for giving your time to do the 38. I know there may be quite a bit of pleasure there, but you've committed yourself to doing the interviews, which is a credit. So don't forget yourself. Yes, because without you, we wouldn't have had 38.
It's been a fun ride, and I hope to continue. There's a lot of masters. I got a lot of
Yeah, you got a lot of scope at the moment. Yeah, when you start going around trying to find one, then we got a problem.
Yeah, that's right. There's probably around I think 350. So I've got a long way to go.
Yeah, you're 10% of the way there, just over. But we'll make more then.
That's true. Yes. Well, thanks again, sir. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Tang Soo.
Tang Soo. Thank you very much.
All right.